Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Rambosk Report and the final episode of 2024. We're wrapping things up. Right. Adam, I'm Andrea Jones.
And I'm Adam Fisher. We started this back in January to showcase all the great things we do here at the Sheriff's Office to keep Collier County safe. As we're ending the year and going into 2025, we wanted to first take a look back at the biggest stories that we covered from these past 12 months. First off, let's start with Sheriff Rambosk's new safety initiative, traffic safety initiative, to keep the roads safe. It's called Crash Free Collier. It's no secret that as more and more people move to our fine area, that the roads are getting more and more congested. And because of that, the sheriff and CCSO responded.
Yeah, you could see from week to week, we had deputies out conducting operations on red light running, aggressive driving, a lot of school bus operations. That's a huge concern for parents, for folks going around school buses, all those kinds of things, speeding. So we're always out there, right? So if you have interest in that, I should have said, check out Crash Free Collier on our website to see all that we're doing to combat that.
Yep.
Also, one of our highest profile cases of the year, I guess we want to start with, was that one out in Ave Maria, where we had a domestic violence situation, which turned into a shooting, and it turned into a major manhunt.
Collier County 911, what is the address of your emergency?
Stand by, he's stopping.
Tango, Roger. Keep rolling. We'll turn left at Charlie, then.
Juliet, Yankee 05. Road.
60, sorry about that. I got one aircraft on.
K9, hold where you are. K9, hold where you are. I got him in the water. He's in that clump of grass. He's right in front of you, another 5 feet, another 5 feet.
And we were able to use high-end technology from our real-time operations center. Our aviation unit was out there, and deputies were able to locate that suspect. That was Gilberto Callejas. He was hiding in a pond, and he is still in custody, obviously facing very serious charges.
Yeah, and it was a very scary situation. It was great to see all the areas of our agency come together in such a big case like that. And that guy, the witness who was shot, he survived. He was safe thanks to the advanced casualty care training that our deputies receive. It was a CCSO deputy that stepped in, stopped the bleeding before EMS came to his rescue. So now an incident that made national news, I believe it was in February, a passenger jet, its engines failed, it crashed on I-75, initiating a major response from dozens of public safety agencies. CCSO was first on the scene to set up a tactical command operations center to kind of control everything.
Yeah, it was really neat to see how all of those agencies came together. It's a great example of how on any major incident we come together and we collaborate because we have different resources. And in this particular case, our helicopter was a big piece of that, coming in to view from above the situation.
Yep. So if you guys remember, one of the big stories in 2023 was the formation of our Intercept Task Force, the regional task force of many law enforcement agencies whose goal was to fight child exploitation and sex trafficking. So that began at the end of 2023. They really were able to ramp up in 2024 and get going and made 44 arrests here in Collier County. That's the work of our CCSO deputies. The Intercept Task Force as a whole made many more, but our guys made 44 arrests here, including 20 for possession of child sexual abuse material.
Right, and that task force doesn't only focus on child sexual abuse material. They're also looking at things like those illicit massage businesses. 13 of those arrests that we're talking about happened as part of a crackdown on illicit massage businesses. Sheriff Rambosk and task force members were instrumental in crafting a new Florida law, strengthening regulations on those businesses in order to help eliminate exploitation and sex trafficking. In July, shortly after the House bill was passed, CCSO made 11 arrests at massage establishments in just one day.
Yeah.
The sheriff and CCSO were also instrumental in getting another Florida law passed, this one aimed at protecting first responders. So this one adds felony charges if a first responder is exposed to fentanyl while responding to an incident.
And that exact same scenario happened here in Collier County back in 2023. One of our deputies responding to a domestic call. So it wasn't drug related, but there was fentanyl somewhere in that complex. He was exposed and he overdosed. Now, thankfully, with the fast actions of his sergeant and using Narcan, he survived that overdose. But Sheriff Rambosk wanted to make sure or try to take steps to make sure that didn't happen again. So he helped write that law to make it an additional felony if a first responder is exposed. And he went up to Tallahassee along with that deputy who was exposed to speak to lawmakers about the dangers of fentanyl exposure and help get that bill passed.
Yeah, it's really important. And certainly we're looking out for, obviously on the heels of our Laced and Lethal campaign, we're not only looking out for members of the community, we're also looking out for those responding to these cases.
Yeah, the ones that keep us safe.
Also in 2024, as in most years, unfortunately nowadays, was an active year for hurricanes. And while Collier County didn't get a direct hit, we saw several storms come close enough to cause flooding and some other issues. CCSO was ready, as usual, where Real-Time Operations Center tracked each of the storms, providing live updates to deputies on the ground who were securing flooded areas, checking for damage and whatnot. And Collier County also was helping other communities.
Yeah, thankfully it was not a direct hit here in Collier County. We were spared the worst of the damage. Because of that, Sheriff had his resources. He was able to deploy them to some of those areas that were suffering major damage. We sent emergency response teams up north to northern Florida, which was hit hard after Milton. After Helene kind of went and did severe damage up in the Carolinas, we sent a telecommunications response team up to North Carolina to help repair that vital infrastructure to get that going so their emergency communications could be responded or could be up and running again.
Yeah, it's really important stuff. And you don't realize how much goes into it until until you're right there in the thick of it. We've worked hard, just like those folks, to get our safety messages out. We do it a lot through not only the Rambosk Report, but especially through social media. And this year we also had our ongoing podcast, Sworn Statement, and a cold case podcast called Ambush After Dark. That one looks into the case of a murdered pregnant woman. She was in Immokalee at the time. The case in that situation remains unsolved.
And that was a very good podcast. My co-host here, Andrea, did a wonderful job on that. If you like true crime podcasts, go back and listen to her break down that case. And of course, she mentioned Sworn Statement, which explores public safety issues in some lesser known areas of our agency.
Right.
We did 16 of those episodes this year about various topics, including our K-9 unit, our aviation bureau, financial fraud, and our response to school threats. So you can listen to both those, Ambushed After Dark and Sworn Statements, wherever you get your podcasts.
They're really well done. You should really check those out.
Right.
If you're interested in what the Sheriff's Office does, these are just some of the amazing things our deputies have done this year. Civilians certified no matter what. This is a great agency. I hope you'll take a look and have a great new year.
Yeah, and thank you guys for joining us. I know Andrew and I both appreciate it as we started this new venture. We look forward to bringing more exciting stories to you next year. And as Andrea said, have a safe and happy new year.